Hello everybody, there is definitely some good news for IT employees. So let's get started with clicking on that like button and continue with the video. Well, there are two individual reports that are highlighting similar set of news. Number one is from Quess Corporation, which is one of the renowned staffing companies. And Quess highlighted that the demand for IT employees has increased by 46% within the GCC segment, that is Global Capability Centers. The Global Capability Centers are on a rise and the increase in demand from them is a pretty big news. And what are these GCCs? They are Global Capability Centers, that is the IT or the capability center, offshoring center for big corporations from the Western world, either from US or Europe. For example, Adidas has leased a large space to set up their GCC in Chennai just a few weeks back. On the other end of the news spectrum, it is TeamLease, another recruiting company which highlighted that the overall service sector employee growth has increased by 3 to 5% in June 2024 compared to the month before that. Well, 3 to 5% might sound small, but when you compare it with what has been happening in the last 1 year, this is still a pretty big number. If you just take it into context, the top 6 Indian IT service providers, TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL, LTI, Mindtree and Tech Mahindra, all these 6 companies cumulatively, there was a headcount drop by 50,000 people in 2024. So 3 to 5% is still a big number. Now, looking at both these numbers together, there are some positive news, and this news can help you plan better with respect to what is coming your way. Let's start with the GCC segment and see what's coming our way from the GCCs. The first and the most important thing, there are at least 10 to 15 GCCs that are opening up in the country every single quarter in a 3-month window. And these 10 to 15 GCCs, the global capability centers, need leadership teams, need mid-level management, and need people at entry level. They need people at every level in the hierarchy. So it's a very good choice as employment for all levels of people. Very clearly, these guys are looking for at least 150 to 200 senior people every single quarter. And what happens when they look for these senior leadership? Once they hire the senior leadership goes back into their prior company and they try to get some talent along with them. So you can see that, hey, once one leader from your company is entering into the GCC world, you are next to follow. On top of that, the mid-level management roles or the mid-level technical folks for whom the demand is going down slowly, these GCs are becoming the best bets possible because they are looking for these specialized and advanced skill sets and the individuals with advanced skill sets. So that is another option which is very good, not currently in demand in the traditional services world, but once again in demand in the GCC world. The third thing that is coming from the GCC world is that these companies are definitely better in terms of work-life balance. And why is that? The first thing is you don't have a client. GCCs are typically the capability centers of, let's say, large multinational companies from around the world. If, for example, JP Morgan is setting up their own GCC in India, then what does it mean? There are 400, 500, 2,000 people within that GCC for JP Morgan who are all JP Morgan offshore employees. There is no client. You are working with JP Morgan people only. So there is no client is God behavior in this world. The second one, these are typically product companies offshore centers. So the salaries are also higher. Well, there is one trade-off. In typical product companies, you will notice that the promotions don't happen very frequently. So your growth might not be as fast as some of the other traditional IT services companies, but doesn't really matter because you are still making the same amount of money or even more. On the other hand, now the natural question for you could be, hey, how do I find this GCCs? Well, it is important for you to even keep track of this news because number one, when a multinational company is opening up their GCC or Global Capability Center somewhere in India, majority of the recruitment happens in the first 3 to 6 months. For example, if Adidas is opening up their GCC in Chennai, in the next 6 months, majority of the recruitment will get completed in 6 months after that. That's it. Then again, the number of recruitments, the number of hirings will go down drastically. So if you can get in that first 3 to 6 month window, you are at a great advantage. So keep a track on what are the companies which are coming and establishing their centers in India. 10 to 15 companies is a huge number in every single quarter. Now, how do you keep track of that? In Indian context, In my personal opinion, Business Standard is a great newspaper. So please keep a track of that through Business Standard newspaper. Well, it might be 100, 200 or 300 rupees subscription per month, but still it makes a lot of sense. The other way is you can follow me. Click on that subscribe button if you haven't already. I will keep letting you know which are some of the GCCs that are opening up in the country in the last quarter and which have opened recently in the last 1 to 2 weeks as well. That is another good way for you to find out about what's happening in that part of the world. On top of it, I'll also be highlighting TCS quarterly results in my next video. So do stay on track for that to understand if the IT services demand is not just growing from GCC's perspective, but also if it is growing from the general IT services world itself. Now, next positive thing that you need to think about is also which are the roles for which they are hiring. What are some of the technologies for which these guys are hiring people? One, of course, is digital transformation. Number two is any type of advanced technologies. It could be cloud, it could be AI, it could be quantum as well, or cyber security. All these are some of the technologies where they are trying to get people and integrate these technologies into their existing systems. And the third one is Gen AI. So you can see that across multiple capabilities, these guys are recruiting, and they are the ones which are increasing the demand for IT talent across the different experience levels. Do let me know if you want me to cover GCC specific news going forward, because in my humble opinion, it would be a great channel for you to venture out, look for new jobs that are high paying and also good from a work-life balance perspective. See you again in the next one. Bye bye.